I'm honored to invite the head of the INSS, Professor Manuel Trajtenberg, to open the conference. Please. Hello, and welcome to this important conference, I hope. The subject cannot be more current than Saudi Arabia between Iran and Israel, no more and no less. I will not count all the important guests among us. I always forget someone. I will suffice with welcoming all of you, also the viewers at home. This conference was planned about 4 months ago, much before the subject was raised in the headlines, as has happened recently. There are two possibilities. One is that the INSS has a crystal ball that told the future, or that we were lucky. You can decide at the end of the conference what brought us to this position. But also, without the rumors of the headlines about the context, perhaps negotiations between all those involved to reach some kind of a more formal agreements between Israel and Saudi Arabia, and of course the United States. Even without this, lately, there have been some dramatic changes in the region, which Saudi Arabia has had an important and central role. What is happening in the region that is bringing us to this discussion? First of all, everyone is talking with everyone, which was not the case before. We are talking about a kind of regional détente. Yes, a term borrowed from the previous century that has enabled the diplomatic priority. The diplomatic priority has enabled ties instead of conflicts, and instead of the use of force. Iran is suddenly part of the game, and it returns to be a major player vis-a-vis all the others. Syria is returning to the arena after 12 years of being on the sidelines and of hoping that Assad would disappear. And here the same Assad is returning, is being welcomed in Riyadh, in the Arab League, an event that is difficult to exaggerate its significance. China is playing an important role in the region. Suddenly, China is negotiating between Saudi Arabia and Iran to have ties. And of course, the United States, which is busy with other regions, it's not going anywhere. It is here, and it's still an important force, and it will not give up its relevance in shaping the new map of the region. And to all this, we will add the contacts that are taking place between us and Saudi Arabia on having relations or some kind of arrangement. And this is the holy grail, not only of the diplomatic relations, but if this happens, it is the acceptance of Israel in the region. Really, it's not just a cold peace here and there, but another place for us. Perhaps we can get rid of that image of the villa in the jungle. If this takes place, it will be a game changer. There is no doubt that we are in a moment of time that could be historic from our perspective. Of course, on the way, there are quite a few difficulties. There are 3 players: the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. Each one has its own demands, problems, and red lines. Saudi Arabia is requesting from the United States the sale of the most advanced weapons. They are even discussing, and who knows if it's true, the collapse of the defense alliance between the 2 countries. This would have great consequences. The development of nuclear capability, they say, in order to produce nuclear fuel that will serve Saudi Arabia when oil is no longer relevant. Moreover, what Saudi Arabia seeks is its acceptance and the embrace of America. Indeed, 5 years ago, after the murder of the journalist Khashoggi, became truly excluded from America, big time, of course, by the Democratic administration. Between Saudi Arabia and Israel, there is the Palestinian issue. The resumption of some kind of process of dialogue, a political process. The word peace is championed by all of us, but something in that direction, maintaining the status quo on the Temple Mount, and of course avoiding provocative actions in these contexts, which with this coalition composition are difficult to avoid. And between the United States and Israel as well, there's a set of conditions, of demands, some of which overlap, as with the Palestinian issue, but some not, such as the legal reform or the regime overhaul, which of course the United States does not approve of, and suddenly everything is connected to everything. In this conference, we will address two main motifs. The topic is broad. One is to try to map and understand the changes in the region. To try in the region, I mean mainly in the Gulf, but not only, and of course those transformations that concern Saudi Arabia. The second theme or motif is the derivatives of those changes in the region, particularly of Saudi Arabia, on Israel, on its status in the region, on the prospects of establishing relations. We at the INSS deal with these issues all the time. So when I said at the beginning of my remarks after the jokes, whether it was a big crystal ball or luck, it was, of course, neither. When you deal with these things intensively all the time, then obviously when something significant happens, you're ready, you have something to say, yes, and we are there. Our intention, of course, at this conference, as in any activity that we do, is not just academic. It is not research for research's sake. We want to influence what is happening in the state of Israel, to formulate policies that will lead us to a better place in advancing Israel's national interests. And I want to point out one thing in this context. There are quite a few in Israel who are looking at the establishment of relations between Iran and Saudi Arabia, etc., between all the possible couples of they are looking at it as if it's dangerous for the state of Israel. It could be, but this Pavlovian reaction is out of place. This needs to be investigated. The merits of the matter need to be addressed. There may be opportunities here that we didn't think of in advance. So here at the INSS, this is what we do. We don't treat everything with instinct and immediately saying it's dangerous and whatnot. I would like to thank Dr. Yoel Gudzansky, the organizer of the conference. You know, when you come here 5 to 4, you come, you sit behind this event, and there is more than a little work and planning and thought. So I want to thank you and everyone else who made this happen. I would like to thank the honorable guests who've done things here. Yossi Cohen, my friend, the former head of the Mossad and former head of the National Security Council. Thank you. To our friends from Tel Aviv University, to Professor Uzi Rabi, director of the Dayan Center, to Dr. Brandon Friedman, head of the research division, also of the Dayan Center, to Dr. Leora Handelman-Braver, head of the Alliance Center for Iranian Studies, to Ronan Levy, director of the Foreign Ministry, who will close the conference with his conclusion. I wish everyone an enjoyable, useful conference, and I hope at the end of it we will leave with a smile and not just worry. Thank you.